Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lisa Simmons. I am the program manager for the community initiative here at the Mass Cultural Council. And the community initiative is the local cultural council program, the festivals program, and the cultural districts program. So today we're talking about festivals, spring summer festivals. So this webinar is to tell you a little bit of information about the festivals, about how to apply for festivals. And then if you have any questions, we will answer all those questions at the end. Timothea is here. And Timothea, do you want to introduce yourself?
Thanks, Lisa. Hi, my name is Timothea. I'm a program officer with the Community Initiative. Primarily, I work with local cultural councils, the LCC program, but I'm here helping Lisa today with festivals.
Thank you. So let's get started. So what we want to let you know too is that if you can see on the bottom of your screen, this is closed captions. So if you want to use those, you can turn on the captions by clicking live transcript at the bottom of your Zoom window, or you can hide the captions if you'd like. If you need any help, just put that in the chat, and Timothea can help you navigate that way so you can use the captioned option. So today we're going to talk about the introduction to the festivals program, the new system. So you are going to be applying for your festival grants this year in our new grants management system. And we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll review the guidelines, go over eligibility, and then take a look at the application, and then in the end, answer any questions that you might have. So I just wanted to share with you who is on our communities team. And as Timothea said, our main work is with local cultural councils, and everyone here works with local cultural councils. And then we also have the cultural districts program, as well as, the festival program. So we just wanted to start sort of to talk to you a little bit about why we're in a new grants management system. The new system is allowing us to be more streamlined. It allows us to see all the grants under one program. We can see as applicants where you're applying. You will have your own portal with your own name that's specific to you, which will show you, depending on how you enter into the system, what grants at Mass Cultural Council are available to you. And that is a huge change. Oftentimes we have found that people don't understand necessarily what other opportunities for grants are available at Mass Cultural Council, and this just gives us the opportunity to share that with you. So the grants management system is here at massculturalcouncil.smartsimple.com. And one of the questions that we've been getting as we rolled this out last September is there a record for my organization? So one of the things that is happening is that if you, depending on how you were in the old system, whether or not your record came over to the new system. So as we say here, there's thousands of records. If your organization has applied directly, if you are a festival grantee from the last 5 cycles, then you more than likely are in the system. But if not, if you're new to the system, you're going to have to register with your email address, and that will be able to get you through the process about how to access it. So you're going to check to see whether or not your name is in there. You're going to click forgot password, and if you are in the system, you should be able to get an email that's going to tell you to register. And you're going to want to register as an organization. This is key, okay, because individuals are not allowed to apply for a festival grant. It has to be an organization. So just make sure when you're going into the system and it asks you how you're registering with the system, that you register as an organization. This is what the new landing page is going to look like, and it's going to ask you. So here you're going to put in your email address. You're going to click forgot password. If you are in our system, you will get an email that's telling you this is your temporary password. You're going to go in and you're going to hit login, and then it's going to ask you to change your password, and you should be all set. If you're new to the system, if you're a new festival applicant, and we're excited because with the fall winter program, we had a lot of new festival applicants, and that's really exciting for us. So if you are new to the system, you're going to come down here and just click on the register button. And again, it's the massculturalcouncil.smartsimple.com. That's what you're going to go to. You're going to come to a page that says organizations, and you're just going to fill in your contact information. You're going to submit it, and then you're going to be able to go in and register. I want to call attention to the link that's at the bottom of this page. So when you get this PowerPoint presentation, and we will be sending this to you, this is a tutorial that we did for this Fall Winter Festival Grant Program that will walk you through the system if you have any trouble. So that's going to be a key link for you as you're navigating through the new grants management system. So that's the new system. We will answer a bunch of questions on those if you have them, but again, there's that link that's going to help you go through the whole process of actually getting into the system if you're in there or if you need to register as a new member. So let's talk a little bit about the background of festivals. So if you're new to the festival program, as I said, wonderful, we're really excited. If you're coming back, there have been a couple of changes, not a lot, but it's always good to go over it and sort of get the background. So we started the program in January of 2016. Our original investment in this program was $100,000 with the whole idea around really trying to get to the landscape of what festivals were happening in Massachusetts. We really wanted to, it was really sort of the best way for us to help support festivals, but also a way to help us figure out who was out there doing festivals. We started initially with a $500 grant. And that was really for festival producers to help festival producers put on a local arts festival to a big music festival to a holiday stroll. Festival is really the word festival, and the way we define it is very broad, which is wonderful. To date, we've funded over 1,000 festivals across the state, and have really made an impact on those cities and towns that we're supporting. It's a really great way too for us to be promoting arts and culture and tourism that's happening in these communities. So the program now is at $1,500 per festival for this FY22 grant year. We have increased the festival grants by $1,000. And looking at the program and talking to festivals, and we did a whole festival cohort, which we'll talk a little bit about. It was really understood that, to really even be more impactful and to support festivals on a wider in a better way was to increase the amount of that festival grant. So you can apply for an in-person festival, and we know that has been kind of sketchy during the pandemic. Some people have been able to hold in-person festivals. Online festivals, we support 100%. There have been some really, really cool and creative ways that people have come together as community to celebrate online, and that's been really exciting to watch. And we definitely have examples of that on our website. And then we also changed or added, I should say, a segment of our granting during the pandemic, and that is to support audience development and audience engagement. These are unfortunately not available to first-time festivals, but they're available to festivals who maybe they aren't going to be putting forth their festival this year, but we really want to make sure that festivals remain in the mind's eye of people who might have gone one year and then for the other year it couldn't happen because of COVID. So these grants are to help build out websites, to help keep your social media presence, to make sure that you are constantly engaging with your audiences, even if you can't have a festival. So that's new. The audience development and audience engagement is new. So definitely take a look at those eligibility requirements. The goal is, to help for festivals is to celebrate arts, to create a sense of place. One of the great things that we find in festivals and why it's a program that we really wanted to bring to the Mass Cultural Council was that it offers diverse and cultural experiences. It's been wonderful to see how communities have created multicultural festivals around Diwali, festivals around Caribbean communities and cultures. And it's really an important part of the work we do around our equity and diversity and inclusion work, and will continue to do. It's been a great way to support humanities and interpretive sciences, and really to showcase, as we say here, the Commonwealth's artistic and cultural diversity. So we will continue to do that. It is continuing to be part of our DEI and race equity plan. And so, so that's really exciting. Let's talk a little bit about eligibility. So festival eligibility is, it's what we've really tried to do is make sure that the festival application is as easy to navigate as possible, and that the process around which festivals are eligible is also easily navigable. So basically, you need to be a nonprofit organization in good standing. That's a 501c3 or a chamber of commerce, or a nonprofit that is working with a fiscal sponsor. So municipal entities such as local cultural councils, libraries, parks and recs are also eligible. If you have a fiscal agent, that is also acceptable for an unincorporated group that has a nonprofit objective. So the thing about fiscal agents, they can be municipal entities. So just think about that. If you're working with a Parks and Rec department and you're an unincorporated nonprofit group, they could be your fiscal sponsor. It just has to be that they are registered in Massachusetts as a foreign corporation doing business in Massachusetts, which most fiscal agents are going to be. And then all applicants just have to be in good standing with Mass Cultural Council programs. And that means if you, for some reason, if you got a grant for a festival 2 years ago, we want to make sure that you did your final report. If you got a grant through the CIP projects program, that you're in good standing and have done whatever reporting requirements you needed to do. So program eligibility. So for all applicants, the festival has to be managed by a Massachusetts entity. It has to be identifiable as arts, humanities, or as science theme. We really, part of the whole festival program was for us to help also support local artists. So one of the requirements, and based on eligibility, is that a festival either employs or showcases Massachusetts artists, humanists, or scientists, and that it's open to the public and provides some sort of aspect of free programming. And if you have questions about this, and you have questions about your festival and whether or not it's eligible, because you might charge an admission fee, feel free to contact Timothy or I, and we can walk you through that. But the whole idea behind this is that we want festivals to be as inclusive as possible and as accessible as possible. And if there's a large fee for someone to attend, that doesn't provide an accessibility. And they have to be open to the public. So all of that is sort of defined in our on our website. If a person, all festivals must be open to the public. We talked about that. The festival can be a one-day event or a consecutive sequence of thematically curated events that take place no more than 14 days. So this has tripped up people in the past. So what's not eligible, and we'll go into this too, are series. So if you have a series program that's happening 4 times during the month, and it's happening every Saturday of the month, that's not considered a festival, right? It has to be linked together by between 1 and 14 days. And again, any questions, you can just talk to Timothy or I. So it's in person. If you plan on having it in person, and because this language came up during the pandemic, that you need to have a way that if something happens, that you can deliver that festival online. So we don't know, with Omicron and then all these other things, we don't know what's happening. So we just want to make sure that you have that, that you can do that. Okay. So the next slide, audience development engagement. So we talked a little bit about why we came to this other criteria for funding of festivals. So you can seek funding for developing or strengthening social media, as I spoke about, developing your websites, audience engagement activities that were unable to happen during COVID-19, and first-time festivals, again, like I said, can't apply. But this is a great way for established festivals to really rethink and maybe retool what they're doing around audience engagement, again, sort of in line with our DEI and our race equity plan, to really think about how you can bring in more audiences, maybe more diverse audiences, and you can use this grant for that. You can also use it to help engage audiences and try to think about ways that you can bring in different people to your festival and engage them in different ways and reach out to different communities that you might want to come to your festival. So this can be used for that as well. And I just think that's a really exciting change in our festival guidelines. Just quickly, ineligible activities, and again, this is all on our website. Private celebrations, obviously, no political festivals. Trade fairs are not covered under, for festival eligibility. So things that are solely fundraisers are not eligible. Seasons and series, which we just talked about. And again, if you have questions about that, let us know, because we do get questions about that. Competitions, sports activities, scholarships, showcasing, showcases that are paid for, types of school fairs, and requests for operating support. So those are the things that are not eligible. So eligible, and as you can see, there's so many more eligible ways that you can be eligible for a festival than ineligible, because the short is that we want to support you and we want to support the community celebrations that you're doing. Social media engagement and marketing, costs associated with developing and strengthening websites, audience engagement we talked about, fees paid to artists, which is really great, which is really another great thing that we sort of increase the amount of money that we're giving to festivals so that you can really have those funds to pay artists that are going to be part of your festival. Programming costs, production costs, accessibility service. A lot of times, if you have to do things, if it's online and you need closed caption, visual enhancements, interpreters, this is all things to think about as you're thinking about producing your festival and making sure it's more accessible and more inclusive for people. That translation costs is also another great way when you're trying to think of growing audiences in order to for your festival. And marketing and promotional materials. One of the things is for eligible is eligible for this expense too. So again, any questions, just connect with us and we can help support you through that. You can't use the money for food and beverages, including alcohol, non-arts related things like bouncy houses and rides and things like that. And marketing and promotional materials, proper acknowledging of funding and credits. So again, not a lot of ineligible, lots of eligible. One of the things that we changed this year is that the cultural investment portfolio has a projects grant, and that projects grant is very similar to the festival grant. So one of the things we wanted to do was we released the applications at the same time, and we wanted to make sure that if people were applying to projects, they could also apply to festivals and festivals to projects. So we created sort of a new requirement or a new eligibility requirement around both of those programs. And in the future, there'll be other changes between those two things. But for now, we, based on the funding that we have now for this program, organizations that are currently receiving CIP portfolio gateway funds are eligible to apply. But if their request exceeds the available funds, those organizations will only be awarded to the extent that there are funds available, because they're already in the grant program throughout Mass Cultural Council, and priority is given to applicants that are not part of the CIP or Gateway program. You can apply to both. However, there's a maximum award. So one of the things that happened in this for the fall winter was the projects grants opened and the festival grants opened. And you could apply to festivals and get a grant for $1,500, and you could also apply to projects, get accepted for a projects grant, that was 2,500, but you'd only get $1,000. So the cap would be 2,500. So for the spring summer, it's a little bit different because now we will know what festivals had applied to the projects grant and already are at their cap of 2,500. So if a festival is awarded 2,500 in the FY22 CIP grant, it can't receive a spring festival summer grant for the same festival. But if you have a fall winter program and you've applied for that and you received a festival grant, you can also apply to the spring summer if it's a different festival that you're doing for spring summer. So you are not precluded from applying to the spring summer program, even though you applied to the fall winter, as long as they are not the same festival. All right, so just so you know that. If, however, you have received your maximum funding for the same festival between projects and festivals, you are not eligible. All right, the timeline. So we opened the application on January 10th, as many of you know. It closes on March 1st at 5 p.m. This is for festivals, only festivals that, oh, this is wrong. Festivals that happen March 1 to August 31st. So this should be March 1 to August 31st. So those festivals that happen March 1st to August 31st are eligible for this grant period. The review is done in-house, and that's going to happen between March 2nd and March 18th. You're going to know about whether or not you were awarded a grant by March 18th. You will then be sent contracts to sign, and you'll need to get those contracts back in early April. And once those contracts are returned, we will forward the funding to where it needs to go, whether it's a fiscal sponsor or it goes to your organization. Now, one of the things that I talked about a little bit was that we do have resources, and one of the great things that came out of a cohort that we did with Arts Boston a number of years ago is a festival toolkit. We worked with 10 festivals to sort of figure out around the whole issue around audience engagement and audience development, about social media, ways to collect data. And it was, I think it turned into this festival toolkit that's available to you right now. It is, we greatly believe that this toolkit can offer some incredible resources for you as you're building out your festival, as you're thinking about your social media, as you're thinking about increasing your audiences, as you're thinking about, collecting data. One of the things that we do ask as a requirement, if you are a successful applicant, is that you do collect data. And so I really suggest that you go online and you look at this festival toolkit so that you have in mind how you want to structure your festival and your social media and the way that you're going to collect data for your festival, because it is something that we are going to be asking in the final report. So as I said, you're required to gather the information. It can include information like name and email address. That's typically what people will give you. If there are other ways that you can collect data, if you're doing an Eventbrite, you can collect information that way. And then we have 2 webinars that talk about how to collect data, which have been really helpful for folks. So just to sort of conclude, I just wanted to let you know who works on this grant program. It's really important for us, for you to not just see Timothy and I, but also know who is behind the scenes working on this grant program, and to bring it all to you and to get this money out the door. So this is our fiscal group, our web group, and yeah, so that's who those folks are. And that's the end of the presentation.
All right, thank you.
Thank you all.